How would you feel if one day you were to wake up in an unknown place? Well, that's exactly
What happened to the protagonist of the story. One day, he woke up feeling the coldness lingering around his body. As he opens his eyes, he's in deep shock as he sees himself alone in a spaceship out in a vast galaxy. He starts to wonder if this is just a dream, but for it to feel so real made him think otherwise. He then tries to remember what he did prior to the event. Just like usual, he came home from work, ate his food, took a bath, played some games, and slept. As the realization struck him, he then avails to notice that the place he was now looked exactly the same as the game he was playing last night called Stella Online. Stella Online is an online game with a taste of sci-fi and has a very high degree of freedom. Players can be adventurers traveling the vast universe. They can also be merchants granted a container ship. This game is such a popular game to many, and that's why finding himself inside it made him excited. As a player in the said game, he is already a standard mercenary player who has already acquired his favorite ship, ASX-08 Krisha. That's why experiencing being inside one really made him happy. However, the coldness makes the experience a little less favorable. While he contemplates what happened to him, he feels like it is not unusual to dream about a game one has been playing. That's why he somehow concluded that he must be having a lucid dream of some sort. However, there is no sign of him waking up though, and he also feels the changes in the room temperature. That's why he is quite sure that what he is experiencing now is probably not a dream. As he starts to feel gloomy, he entertains himself by playing with the ship's steer. But before he even tries to move the joysticks and the pedal, he first checks the map, trying to know his current location. But it seems like his location is nowhere to be found. He also notices that he has no money, but the good thing is that he still has some food to eat. But there is one thing that really caught his attention: the rare metals. In the world of Seoul, there is a chronic shortage of rare metals, so they are very highly valued commodities. It's very easy to trade these metals for NL in any colony or station. This NL is the game's electronic currency. It doesn't have the hassle that comes with using physical currency, but its downside is that every transaction is logged. That's why what some people do to avoid these logs is they start to go crazy about getting rare metals instead. Then, a warning alarm starts to echo through the ship. An image then pops out with the person asking our main protagonist some questions. This man is from another ship and is eyeing to get every inch of our protagonist's cargo. However, instead of just giving them, he asks the man if he is willing to buy the cargo instead. However, the pirate obviously disagreed with such an offer. He even threatens our protagonist that he'll get killed if he's not to follow orders. That's why, when our protagonist has already had enough, he steers the ship away from them as fast as he can. The protagonist's ship then transforms into this weaponized-like ship. The pirate then starts to sweat due to nervousness as the protagonist's ship steers towards him. As the ship fires continuously at the pirate ship, it ends up exploding like hell. After the intense brief fight scene, our protagonist can't deny the fact that with all the moving and swirling, it really made him sick. However, that wasn't really bothering him since he noticed and somehow confirmed his theory that he might not be in a dream after all, considering that even after all that happened, he still hasn't woken up yet. Now that he has already confirmed he's in the real deal, as he thinks about it, he might not be in such a bad situation. After all, his ship is a top-of-the-line ship in Seoul. It's very nimble and maneuverable, but its firepower is on par with heavy cruisers. That's why even if so many pirate ships start to attack him all at once, counterattacking wouldn't be a problem with him, considering his ship is clearly on a completely different level from those pirate ships, as seen in the last battle. So he starts to analyze that if he is a mercenary in Seoul, he should be able to make a living the same way he did in the game. As he checks his pad, he sees that the reward for taking down those pirates is 19,000 enel. If he refills his energy, replenishes his ammo, and services the ship, he'll still get some change back. He also checks on the cargo he has recovered from the pirate ship. As the data runs, he's able to find a map he can use to navigate the area. With all the information he has about the pirates by just looking at the data, he starts to check where he can sell this information and collect his reward. He then notices that there's a trade colony nearby. That's why he decides to visit it himself. As he arrives at the said place called Termine Prime, the system starts to ask for his identity since it doesn't read one. He then starts to think of a name he'll use. Since he feels like his name Sato Takahiro doesn't fit this world, after a brief second, he ends up choosing the name Hiro, an official new mercenary that will face the galaxy. After he landed on the said trade colony, instead of getting compensated for his rare items, he ended up getting interrogated by one of the colonies in charge. Hiro continuously asks where he gets the said rare items. It seems like no one believes that he got all of it from fighting some pirate, considering his identity is still vague and empty. Other than his name, he doesn't have any personal information that the colony can check on. However, before anything even takes longer than it already is, a girl with authority named Serena enters the room. After seeing an unfamiliar ship in the hangar bay, Serena quickly got curious about the new guest. As she checks on Hiro's information and purpose, she sees to it that Hiro is properly compensated for his collection of rare metals. Serena states that as long as there's no proof of the cargo getting stolen, Hiro should be accommodated just like the others, even if his identity is still unknown. After all, the colony and Hiro will benefit from each other nonetheless. Serena also sees to it that the colony staff gets warned for demanding bribes from the guest entering the colony. She sees to it that as the daughter of Marquis Horse, she will make sure to punish those involved in such crimes. That said, the colony staff immediately do as Serena says and leaves the room. Now that they are all alone inside the room, Serena says she apologizes for the staff's rude behavior. She also states that she feels like Hiro came from another universe, looking at his blank data. Hiro then tries to explain that he must have lost his memory while he was in a hyperdrive. However, this even made Serena even more suspicious, considering how Hiro remembered he must have been caught up in a hyperdrive if he lost his memory. However, instead of interrogating him endlessly, she just let it slide. But it seems like she can't stop speculating that Hiro might be a spy from another system. Hiro then quickly shuts down this claim, saying that if he were indeed a spy, he would make an effort to be as discreet as possible instead of showing himself to the authorities right off the bat. After their brief conversation, Serena then went on her way while Hiro went to get his reward. After he runs the number, he's sure that he'll be able to live for more than 40 years in the said universe, even if he doesn't do anything. As he compares his life to the real world, it's clear that he'll have a more blissful one in this one. Days passed and Hiro kept on researching about the unknown galaxy. It turns out that he is in the Termine star system, which is a system composed of 4 planets, the asteroid belt and the primary star Termine. He also learned that the system was under the control of the powerful Kraken Empire. Still, in relation to that, the neighboring Belbaron Federation has been in tension with the said empire for years already. That's why Hiro plans to fly to another star system to avoid getting caught up in the upcoming conflict. But since he still has plenty of time, he decides to explore the colony first. He is in awe as he witnesses a magnificent view that he only sees in anime and games. While he is out and about, he is able to run into some suspicious looking gangsters, but after showing his powerful weapon, they immediately run off their way. However, before Hiro can even start his tour, he meets an elf-looking girl named Elma, who is also a mercenary. Elma asks Hiro to come with her while killing some time before the conflict. Even though she is so suspicious, Hiro just thinks that Elma might be the way he could learn more about the daily life of people in the colony. After knowing that Hiro is an unlicensed mercenary, Elma is quick to respond that he must be registered with some guild if he doesn't want to have any problems in the future. She then takes him into her guild office, where Hiro is able to find out that Elma is already in her 50s. When they finally get to the said office, Hiro immediately registered his name and spaceship to the system. Even the guild operator is shocked to see that Hiro doesn't have any sort of history at all. Hiro then immediately reasons that he lost his memory the same way he did with Serena. After he is finally registered, he must undergo some simulation tests to check up on his rank. For some reason, Elma smirks secretively as she thinks that Hiro couldn't possibly rank higher than her. However, after the said simulation, Hiro made the operator and Elma was shocked as his combat ranking reached gold with just one try. This made Elma furious and jealous since she had worked hard for 5 years to reach her current ranking, which is still silver. To ease the heavy feeling that Elma feels, considering Hiro has surpassed her even if she's been in the game longer than him, Hiro asks for her help to fetch some groceries. While they are at the grocery, Hiro is in shock after he learns that there's no carbonated drinks in outer space. That's why he aims to buy a house with a garden on the planet in hopes that he'll find his favorite drink in the whole universe. Elma quickly shuts him off, saying that there's no way he's able to do so, considering it will cost millions of enel to even have a piece of land on the planet. However, instead of thinking negatively, Hiro tries to look at the bigger picture and makes it a motivation to work harder. After they got some groceries, as they were already on their way back to the guild, they passed by some group of men trying to force themselves onto a young-looking elf girl. As a natural instinct, Hiro tries to jump into action and help the helpless girl. However, Elma immediately stops him from doing so, stating that minding one's business is very common in a place like this. However, Hiro can't possibly let it slide not to help someone in need. As a result, instead of just leaving and not helping, he gets his gun and fires it at one of the guys. He then threatens to shoot their balls if they don't leave. Scared of what might happen, the guys immediately run off, leaving the elf girl all safe. Elma then asks Hiro what he plans to do with the girl. However, it seems like Hiro himself doesn't know what to do next. All frightened and unsure what to do, the two decided to take the elf girl to some restaurant to buy her something to eat. As the conversation about what Hiro would do with the girl continues, as Hiro can't say a word about his plan, Elma dashes out and is about to leave the place. Then Hiro provokes her by trying to step on her pride. As a result, Elma rushes back to the table, now eager to help the said girl. She starts off by asking the girl what's her name, which turns out to be Mimi. It seems like Mimi doesn't have anyone she can count on. That's why Elma quickly plans to let her stay in Hiro's ship, considering he was the one who saved her after all. However, it seems like other than the fact that Mimi will do all the chores, Elma also plans to make her satisfy Hiro every night. Such a statement made Hiro caught off guard. Elma then asks how Mimi ended up in the third block. Mimi then explains to the two about the unfortunate event that happened to her parents. It turns out that Mimi's parents died all of a sudden due to an accident at work. They were in charge of servicing the colony's oxygen infrastructure. That's why when an accident took place, Mimi's parents were blamed for it and were saddled with reparations that far exceeded her inheritance. As a student, she can't possibly pay all her parents' debt. As a result, she ends up living on the streets. She was then chased out into the third block. That's why she is seen roaming the area. After hearing this, Hiro immediately visited the third block's public management office with Mimi in hopes that she'll get her inheritance back. However, as the officer tries to provoke Hiro, Hiro ends up paying the 500,000 enel debt of Mimi's parents. That said, Hiro now has decided to take Mimi onto his ship. Elma also bought her a change of clothes. Before she leaves, Elma whispers something in Mimi's ear that makes Hiro curious. As night falls, Mimi takes a fresh shower while drowned in her deep talks. It seems like what Elma said earlier keeps on bothering her. As they were eating their dinner, Hiro was quick to notice that Mimi seemed very spaced out. Mimi then assures him that she's alright. She then builds up the courage to ask Hiro about his plans for the night. Hiro then states that after eating and showering, he'll probably go to bed already. Hiro didn't really think of it that much. However, he is shocked when Mimi enters his room looking hot, with her cleavage showing in her tight little nightgown. Mimi then tells him that she is ready to fulfill her duty. Hiro then assures her that he isn't after such a thing. But even after hearing such assurance, Mimi states that she's just scared that she'll get abandoned once again. However, it seems like Mimi has already made up her mind and is ready to satisfy Hiro in her own right. Waking up with Mimi by his side seems surreal to Hiro. Regardless of what happened, this is where they are now. He can't just act as he pleases and only thinks of himself. Now that he has Krisha and his status as a mercenary, and considering his funds are not looking too bad, Hiro feels that he is already blessed with such things he has. Although he had spent money, having Mimi by his side wouldn't really put him under such a serious financial strain. But he can't just simply live for the sake of living. He still aims to buy a detached house with a garden, and now that Mimi is by his side, he aims to have it even more. Now that there are two of them, they must go and do some chores while they still can. They went on to get some groceries and headed out to get some clothes for Mimi. Hiro also decided to take Mimi to the guild office to register her as his crew member. The guild operator cannot contain his enviousness towards Hiro for reaching such a high ranking, even if it was his first time, and also finding such a cute crewmate overnight. After the tension lowers, Elma then informs Hiro that there's a large-scale suppression happening. It's one of the events where players cooperate to complete an objective. And of course, Hiro wouldn't allow himself not to participate in such a tasty event. A few days later, 1 hour before the operation starts, Hiro is preparing a ship for the said event. Serena's image then pops out on the screen as she explains the flow of the operation. After discovering a space pirate base in the Gamma sector of the asteroid belt, mercenaries are assigned to bombard it. However, that isn't the problem. Considering pirates' bases are already weak, the army wouldn't have a problem destroying it. But if small ships escape, the army wouldn't be able to chase after them considering how big their ships are. That's where the mercenaries come in. At this point, Hiro already realizes how the operation will work. First, the mercenary unit will hide in the area around a mark designated by the army. Then the mobile fleet will initiate a frontal bombardment. When the pirates try to escape, the mercenary unit will intercept and send them in a panic. The fleet will then take that opportunity to spread out and finish off what's left. The operation will end when the fleet confirms that their target has gone silent. When Serena asked everyone if they still had further questions, everyone went silent since her explanation was clear enough. However, Hiro, just as expected, gets everyone's attention after he asks if there's an option to withdraw. Serena abruptly sighs for a bit, then states that it is okay to withdraw. However, if they don't fight properly and run with their tail between their legs, it would be a very big problem. Hiro then states his reason for checking, since at the end of the operation, it won't be just the pirates that will be surrounded, even the mercenaries will. The operation formation they plan to follow would threaten the mercenary. It seems like the fleet is trying to let the mercenary fight to the death. However, Serena swears on her pride that as a soldier of the Star Army, she wouldn't let such a barbaric thing happen to her people. Hiro then states that he'll believe her, but it would just be a matter of time before we know whether what she said is true. On the other hand, Mimi is seen shivering in fear. It is such a natural reaction considering this is her first time going into such a big fight. Hiro then suggests to her that she should just stay in the colony if she is that scared. However, Mimi assures him that it's just a natural reaction and that she will be okay. Hiro then remembers the same feeling he had before, the feeling that everything is just a game. As Hiro is caught in his own thoughts, an announcement has already been made. To snap him back to reality, Mimi tells him that the control is already calling for takeoff. Now with that said, no matter what he is currently feeling, he'll just enjoy the event as much as he can. With that said, Krisha is now taking off. As he begins to take off, Mimi checks on the army's coordinates and the mercenaries. She looked so intense considering this was her first time with such work. However, as she looks at the view, her gloomy mood immediately brightens up as she sees such an amazing number of spaceships lining each other. Since this is a group mission that consists of different mercenaries, it's natural that they'll see different colors of ships from every angle. However, one ship really caught Mimi's attention. It looked so sleek and chic, perfect for someone as gorgeous as Mimi. She's amazed that there are ships that are all white too. Hiro then tells her that it is called the SSC-16 Galactic Swan, and in Hiro's knowledge, the ship is just a defective piece of junk. Hiro then explains that based on the looks of the ship, it is mostly made for high-speed battles. It's even faster than Krisha. However, its maneuverability is bad to the point that one can't even steer it properly. Not only that, but it is also expensive, and the servicing and repair costs are absurdly higher than any other ship. There are a lot of shady things about it, but the biggest problem is the uncontrollable rampage state. That's why in Hiro's mind, a weirdo must have been piloting it. It turns out it is Elma. This made Hiro laugh secretively. Mimi is now so worried for Elma's safety. Hiro then assures her that he is certain a self-proclaimed veteran like Elma would be alright. Hearing this made Mimi positive that Elma should be able to handle herself. As they finally reach the hideout of the space pirates, Hito realizes that it seems like the army has positioned him in an area packed with enemies, and he gets the feeling that it is intentional. Now that it is already time to start the operation, Hito arranges his composure while the army now presses the hit button. As the fleet ship ammo hit the pirates' base, it almost destroyed everything in one go. This amazes Hito very much, while Mimi is now petrified at what will happen next. Hito knows that even his Krisha can't match such range and firepower. Then a beep sound echoes the ship at the same time. Mimi informs Hito of the transmission the ship has currently been receiving. In this said report, it says small and medium-sized pirate ships are seen escaping. That's why they are now breaking the radio silence and starting the operation for real. With that said, they will now officially enter the battle. As the two of them brace for impact and shaking from high Gs, Hito tries his best to chase the escaping ships. However, it seems like the pirate ships have also come prepared, sending 2 of their generic ships and 2 small-sized ships right to the Krisha's front. Hito is amazed at the fact that the pirates have some guts to face and attack his powerful ship head-on. As they got closer to Hito, with just one flick of his hand, 2 of the generic ships are sent exploding in an instant. As a result, the other 2 ships immediately try to run away to safety. However, Hito wouldn't let anyone get away from him, even if they were just modded generic ships. With that said, with all his might, he steers the ship towards the escaping ships. He's able to destroy them in one go. However, that isn't the end of the fight. As their zone started to get quiet, Hito started to get bored as well. However, it seems like most of the enemies are fighting other mercenaries. As a result, instead of slacking off and waiting for anyone to attack them, as soon as Mimi receives a report stating that enemies are engaging with other mercenary ships, Hiro immediately steers the ship towards them. Krisha then ought to support other ships by engaging in one-on-one combat with everyone. However, before they even reach the fighting zone, Hito finds themselves getting attacked by massive guided missiles. Fortunately, thanks to the other mercenaries' help, they were able to escape such a fatal fate. After that, the ships then decided to part ways as one headed back to the base to resupply. Hito then asks Mimi how things are looking. Overall, it looks like the allied forces are winning. However, close to the army, there's a fierce fight going on with 3 medium-sized ships. Hearing this made the excitement inside Hito ignite. They then went their way to head to the said location. As Hito leaves the radar and transmission to Mimi, he focuses on steering their way to the said zone. As they were finally able to get a glimpse of the said ships, it seemed like the medium-sized vehicles were remodeled civilian transport ships. Still, the medium support lasers and turrets for close quarters embedded in these said ships are no joke. For sure, Krisha would be able to defeat them in one go. However, Hito decided not to attack them from the front. Hito then instructs Mimi to take Krisha's output to the minimum, hide its debris, and take the ship to their blind side. This made Mimi wonder if the enemy might notice such changes. Hito then immediately explains that since the battlefield is full of debris, the enemy's regular radar won't be of much use. That's why they'll use heat sensors during battle to detect the heat coming from the ships and use it against the enemies. This technique is called thermal stealth in the original game. It's such a good thing that Hito is able to remember such crucial information that he can use in the battle. That said, Mimi does everything that Hito has asked for. On the other hand, the other mercenaries are starting to run low on fuel and ammo, but instead of retreating, they just keep going till they can. It seems like they can't move like they want because of the medium-sized ships scattered everywhere. Then, as an unknown ship flies out of nowhere, the mercenaries start to wonder where it came from. Hito then introduces themselves and states that they are here to help. Now that they have lost the medium-sized ships, the enemy is hightailing it. All they have to do now is to take them out in one go. After some intense fighting, the other mercenaries thank Hito for helping them, specifically his ship, but it seems like Mimi is way more popular than Hiro among the other mercenaries. As they were about to head to the next destination, a loud "No!" echoed from the transmission device. And lo and behold, what Hito had anticipated a while ago turned out to be real. It seems like Elma has eventually lost control of her aesthetic galactic swan ship. Mimi is so worried for Elma's safety, however, it seems like Hito doesn't care a bit, stating that once it goes berserk, there's nothing that can be done anymore, since even if they try to stop it, there's no ship that can catch up with it now. Elma then shouts through the transmission device that she is about to blow up. Hearing this somehow made Hito worried as well. It really did blow up, but the cockpit was so sturdy that Elma still was able to survive such an explosion. Back at the fleet ship, Serena also heard the loud bang and wondered where it came from. When she learns that it is one of the allied ships, she starts to get worried if it will affect the operation. But it seems like Elma's unfortunate situation didn't affect the operation that much. On the other hand, the fleet's operator then reports to Serena that their system has detected some unusual strength from Hito's ship. Hito is a bronze rank mercenary, but his scores are for platinum rank already. Its score is too far ahead, to the point that the operator thought there might be some mistake. Inside Serena's mind, she already knew that Hito was someone she should keep an eye on. Even on their first meeting, Hito for her didn't feel like a former army man or mercenary, but instead just a regular civilian in that sense. Now that her speculation somehow turned out to be true, she orders to get all the data the system can get on Hito. After knowing this, she's now become more interested. Meanwhile, back at Hito's ship, Mimi is able to receive a message from the army through the transmission device, stating that the operation will be over when they already have confirmation of its success. Hearing this marks Hito's fun time. Even though the main source of money for this operation comes from rewards, the cargo that the space pirates dropped and the debris are important sources of income too. With that said, Hito then immediately collects all the debris and cargo they see. One of the cargoes they were able to find was both rare and dangerous. It's called the Singing Crystal. Although it already says it's dangerous, Hito still ends up collecting it nonetheless. After all, it'd be a pain if someone found it. Singing crystals are special items that also exist in the game. When broken, it summons a large number of monsters called crystal life forms. In the game, it was an item used to start raid battles, but depending on how they use it, it may come in handy someday. Now, after collecting everything they can get, Mimi then went on to ask Hito what his life goal is. Hito then answers it by saying that he wants to have a detached house and garden on the planet. After hearing this, Mimi looks very excited and pumped up by Hito's ambitions. Hito then asked her what she wanted to do herself. She was a little bit shy. However, as her stomach growls, she then states that she wants to try eating all sorts of tasty things around the world. In short, Mimi wants to go on a gourmet conquest of the universe with Hito. After such a stressful operation, the moment that they got back to the colony, Hito helped Mimi reach her goal by taking her to buy some new kitchen appliances. While they were shopping, it seemed like the salesperson was so good at his job that they ended up buying new appliances for the whole ship instead. It wasn't really a problem for Hito considering they were able to earn much during the operation. As they make their way back to the guild office to get their chance for the rewards they had during the operation, the guild operator seems to be so jealous of Hito that even if Hito doesn't do a thing, he keeps getting furious. As a result, a female officer then steps in to accommodate Hito and Mimi's needs. After their change has been granted, the officer tries to chit-chat with the two. She states that Hito seems to be a very busy man. Hito then answers by saying that it wasn't really as much. The officer then reasons that it's probably because the star system that they are in is so safe. She even went on to say that someone as strong as Hito would probably make more money in a more dangerous star system or by simply putting together a fleet. However, Hito doesn't plan to do any of the two. The officer then got curious about what kind of relationship Hito and Mimi had. Both of them got off guard when Mimi said that Hito was her master. The disappointed look on the officer's face is so apparent that Hito tries to explain himself. The officer can't believe that such things happen in real life. She thinks that it mostly happens in light novels. She even jokingly said she would gladly join Hito's crew if he wanted. However, Mimi quickly shuts her off. Moreover, the officer then informs the two about what happened with Elma after the ship she used exploded. Although she didn't attain such deadly injuries, her bank account suffered the most. The bill for the damages the army had sent her is pretty harsh. It was light damage, but it was a battleship of the army, so it was never going to be cheap. Wonder where she is now? It seems like she's desperately trying to come up with the money. However, Hito knows that no one would lend money to a mercenary whose livelihood was turned to scrap. Mimi is so worried for Elma, but they can't do anything more about it. At this rate, she'll end up getting sent to a prison station. When they finally went back to the ship, Hito enjoyed the food cooked in the 3D food printer they had bought earlier. However, it seems like Mimi can't enjoy eating, knowing that Elma might have been starving already. Seeing how gloomy Mimi is, Hito then invites her to go for a walk. While they were already outside, Hito asked her what she wanted to do. Is it shopping or cuisine shopping? However, something caught Mimi's attention. It's none other than Elma sitting in the dirty alleyway, looking very depressed. Elma couldn't contain her embarrassment at the fact that she was now in deep debt and was about to be sent to prison. What really worries her is the fact that the prison she is going to is full of pirates caught by mercenaries like her. That's why she is quite aware of the fact that her stay there wouldn't be peaceful at all. Since there's no way she can ever pay the 3 million annual debt she has in 2 hours, even though it hurts, Elma doesn't have any choice but to accept her fate. Before her tears can even fall down, Mimi then rushes towards her to comfort her. Elma can't remove the thought that she and Mimi have now switched positions. Mimi then tries to soften Hito's heart towards Elma. And just like that, he ended up using all of the earnings he had gained during the operation to pay off Elma's debt. This made Elma flustered, knowing that she had been harsh and rude towards Hito for the longest time now. But in the end, he was still the one that helped her from experiencing so much possible agony. But as we all know, Hito wouldn't do such a thing without any exchange. It turns out that he wants Elma to join his crew. Although he already has Mimi on his side, someone veteran and has great knowledge of ships should come in handy, and Hito can't think of anyone fit for the job other than Elma. Aside from the fact that she will also get paid for her work, she will also have a place to stay. That's why, even if it's embarrassing, Elma decided to accept Hito's offer. On the other hand, Serena has received reports regarding Elma paying her 3 million debt in a span of a few days. She already knows that the higher-ups are the ones behind this extreme scrapping of mercenaries' money. However, what really amazes her is the fact that Elma has 3 million NL on hand. She even thought of quitting the army and becoming a mercenary if they made that much money. When Elma finally enters Hito's ship, she's in disbelief that a mercenary ship would be so luxurious. Hito then reasons that they went to buy an automatic cooking unit and such a thing just sort of happened. But before Elma can even talk anymore, Hito quickly cuts her off and states that she should go take a bath already. This made Elma flustered as she thought of other reasons why Hito would say such a thing. Hito then went on to say that she had been through a lot for the past week, so it was quite apparent that she should just go and wash her exhaustion along with her 1 week's worth of dirt. Since Elma is still new to the ship, Mimi went on ahead to guide her on how to use the shower. While the two are inside the shower, Hito tries to think of ways he can earn some money considering his wallet has been feeling pretty cold. He aims to become a bounty hunter and hunt for small groups of pirates while the star system security isn't that tight yet. Considering these groups have been getting more active lately, it will just be a matter of time before he can save up 1,000,000 enel once again. His contemplations were disrupted when Elma entered the room in her sexiest pajamas. It seems like since earlier, Elma has thought that Hito wants to score on her. That's why he decided to make her one of his crew. However, after they did the thing, that's when Elma fully grasped the situation that Hito didn't intend to use her body in any way. Although the damage had already been done, Elma couldn't deny the fact that she did enjoy her experience with Hito. On the other hand, it seems like Mimi has been worried that with Elma present now, Hito won't be able to do some things for her. That's why before she could even think of any negative things, Hito satisfied her inside the bathroom. After hearing the sensual sounds, Elma now doesn't know what she's gotten herself into. Ever since the large-scale operation, the number of space pirates has decreased drastically, but at the same time, the relations between the Empire and the Federation have been getting even more intense. Although he doesn't plan to participate in the big battle that is about to take place, Hito decides to stay in the star system for a little while longer and make some money. With that said, Elma is seen enjoying a drink with a big smile on her face. It seems like she is happier that they have made more money that day than Hito. It turns out that Hito is able to hit his target amount in such a short period of time. Their plan went better than expected. The pirates who were targeting mining ships in the asteroid belt were seen everywhere, considering the Empire relaxed its security. Hito hid among the pirates and hunted them down one by one. Although he thinks that some would be tricky to take down, in the end, they were just parasites in the face of Krisha. As a result, he hit his target of 2,000,000 enel in 1 week. Now with all this money, Elma tells Hito that they should go shopping the next day. After all, Mimi wasn't able to enjoy her reward on the last operation. Mimi quickly states that it is not necessary considering she's still a newbie, and she feels like she shouldn't be compensated at all. However, Elma wouldn't allow such a thing to happen. After all, Mimi has been taking care of Hito for quite some time now, so it's only fair that she gets paid for it. Hito then tells them that if they feel like he is forcing them to stay, they could just go if they want to. The two then immediately shut him out, stating that no one said they didn't like staying. They even went on to tell him the most heartwarming message Hito has ever heard. Knowing that someone wanted to stay with him made Hito teary-eyed. Elma then thought of something that should make Hiro happy, and it involved using their bodies. With that said, we all probably know what has happened next. One day after, in the 3rd Section Commerce District, the two girls go on a shopping spree. Hito is able to find some coke at the grocery. This literally made his day. However, after tasting it, its taste is nowhere to be compared to the taste of coke in the real world. Nonetheless, Hito, being a coke addict, decides to purchase all the coke cases in the grocery store. As they were now about to do their next task and start hunting pirates once more, they were able to come across some Belebaran battleships that disguised themselves as civilian mining ships. And to make it worse, the said battleship is able to take notice of them. Now, what will they do to avoid getting crushed by a big army? Elma is able to follow Hito's orders, while Mimi is still lost with the idea of what will happen next. Hito then types in a trajectory that will make sure to erase any witnesses. That's why whatever the enemy is doing in the area secretively will not reach daylight. Before the enemy attacks them first, Hito decides they'll make a move now to gain momentum. After rushing in, the enemy's ship seems not to even get scratched from the hit, which is already apparent to Hito. After a while, Elma then informs Hito that it looks like the shield batteries of the enemy are already slowing down, seeing that they are already running away. But Hito wouldn't allow such a thing to happen. He then rushes in and hits them once more. With that one last blow, the enemy's ship exploded immediately. After blowing them away, Hito checks if the ship's black boxes and data cache are alright. Elma then asks him if that data is really that important. Knowing Hito, he already knows that such information would be worth millions if they sell it to the army. Hito assures them to leave up the selling to him since he already has a contract with the said office. Elma doesn't care whatever Hito does as long as he makes sure not to get them involved in any trouble. Hito then assures them that no such trouble will happen, considering they're just selling stuff. However, that wasn't the case at all. After they sell the information, they end up finding themselves taking part in the battle between the Federation and the Empire, which is something all of them are avoiding. With that said, Hito feels gloomy and unmotivated after involving themselves in such big trouble. It seems like Hito has a complete feel for the Empire's talk and doesn't even try to negotiate, even if it is a part of the mercenary's job. While they are at the office, it seems like Hito is able to catch everyone's attention for having 2 cute girls with him. Some even started to question why Hito would be with someone veteran like Elma, who is at rank silver already. Before Hito can even think of negative things, one soldier catches everyone's attention as Serena enters the stage. Serena then thanks everyone for waiting, and she will now start the briefing on the battle to defend the Termine star system. Based on the information Hito has sold them, the Federation military is estimated to be more powerful than the Empire. It is found that the Federation has 8 battleships, 24 heavy cruisers, 32 light cruisers, 64 destroyers, and 128 corvettes. It greatly exceeds the garrison of the Termine system. And since reinforcements are only getting in the system the day after the enemy arrives, it is their task to make sure to hold with what they have for at least a day. In the said plan, Serena's mercenary fleet will hide in an asteroid belt in the enemy fleet's expected invasion route, and when they are there, they will engage in guerrilla combat. The goal is to weaken the speed of their invasion as much as possible. Having said that, the most powerful ships they have will be fighting the destroyers. Anything above that has high-powered shields, so they are not opponents for mercenaries to deal with. With such a plan, Serena tells everyone honestly that it is hard to say that they will have the advantage. That's why she asks if anyone has a plan, and if there is, they should tell her as soon as possible, considering it might be useful. As we all might already know, Hito is the only one who has the guts to be blunt with Serena, and let's just say that his plan is far more absurd than anything else. He plans to use the enemy's warp out reaction to sneak in by himself. Then he is going to get in deep and destroy the enemy's flagship